Welcome back to part 3 of this Mansions of Madness edition of Components Breakdown. In part 1, I discussed the majority of the game's numerous components, and in part 2, I covered the game's setup and gameplay, as well as giving my overall review. Today, in my final look at the game, I have decided to go back to the roots of my video series and turn back the clocks to showcase two things that initially started my venture into creating board game videos. First, we will open up the box and show you how you too can store all of your components in an orderly fashion without having to keep any of the game's pieces outside of the main game box. Second, I had the distinct pleasure of working with a very accomplished and awarded miniatures painter in the Indianapolis area named Sonia Talia, who has volunteered her talents and expertise to provide me with a full set of commissioned painted miniatures for the game, which I will be showcasing in the second part of this video. For longtime fans of my review series, you'll certainly appreciate this portion of the video, which will cover an aspect of gaming that most gamers take for granted, and that is properly storing your components in an efficient and easy to organize manner. Opening up the box for Mansions of Madness, you will first notice that in order to create an effective workspace, you will need to remove the original insert from the game box, which really shouldn't be an issue for most players since it provides little to no value, other than originally keeping the game's components sorted while shipping. Looking inside, you will see that I have 4 of the larger creature miniatures floating inside the box. Now they are packed in tightly enough between the 2 Plano boxes and the 2 card deck boxes to minimize most of the shifting if you're going to be transporting the game between locations. As I just mentioned, next to these miniatures are 2 Ultra Pro deck boxes, which house all the game's numerous cards, and they have been sorted further by separating the standard size cards from the smaller miniature cards which are typically found in most Fantasy Flight games. After removing these larger miniatures and deck boxes, you will see that I've used 2 identical Plano boxes to sort all the additional components that come within the game. I decided to use one of these 2 boxes to hold the rest of the miniatures with their attached bases, while the second box is being used primarily to contain the numerous cardboard chits and tokens that will be needed to play. Finally, below all these components and Plano boxes, I have placed the 15 mansion tiles along with both sets of rulebooks. Again, for longtime fans of my video review series, you'll quickly recognize that I am most definitely a gamer who takes every opportunity to enhance as many of the components as possible within a game, especially if I believe it is something that warrants staying in my collection for a long period of time. And there's really no better publisher in the board game market than Fantasy Flight Games for providing really great detailed miniatures that can stand up to a quality professional painting. And I know this firsthand because I've done dozens of them already and had them painted in the past for games like Middle-earth Quest and Fury of Dracula, to name just a few. When the first images of Mansions of Madness were released in 2010, I immediately knew that it was a game that I would pursue having painted by a skilled miniatures painter. Thankfully, I had a viewer of my review series and fellow Board Game Geek member step up and offer to contact his sister, who likewise lived in the Indianapolis area and had won numerous awards for her entries into several different conventions. Sonia was absolutely delighted to take on the commission and has provided me with what I believe to be one of the best tabletop examples of what can be done when you combine quality board game components with an incredibly creative individual. And for those who are interested in her abilities and talents as a painter, I am including a link to her website so that you too can contact her directly with your own request for miniatures painting at your own convenience. So to wrap up all 3 parts of my video review series on Mansions of Madness, I wanted to first personally thank Fantasy Flight Games for creating what I believe to be one of the best story-driven board games to have been released. I completely believe that with just one good expansion to the game, Mansions can sew up some of these small initial issues that myself and other gamers have had to create what could essentially be the perfect hybrid of theme and story yet in a board game. I also wanted to thank the drove of viewers, both on YouTube and Board Game Geek, who have participated in this month-long endeavor by supporting my videos of this game, in particular with thumbs and comments that have made this series one of the most popular collections that I have thus far created for the community. So for one last time, that is Mansions of Madness. I am Jeremy Salinas, and thank you very much for watching.